Hello, and welcome to part 1 of the Holy Family Track and Field informational videos. These videos are an easy way for families, both old and new, to get prepared for the upcoming track and field season. In this video, we're going to discuss the goals of track and field at Holy Family, the practices, and the equipment needed. So let's get started. The goals of track. Goal 1 is to have fun. Track has always had a fun and positive environment at Holy Family. If we're not having fun, then we're definitely doing something wrong. We work hard in track, but we also have a lot of fun as well. Goal 2 is to teach the fundamentals of track and field. Track dates back to 776 BC and is one of the oldest sports in history. It's probably because of how exciting the sport is, both to participate in and to watch. We want to teach the athletes the skills needed to enjoy track and field. Again, track and field isn't always the blast to participate in. It's a lot of fun to watch as well. Goal 3 is the PR, which stands for personal record. A personal record is the best time or distance someone has in a particular event. This might be 30 seconds in the 200 meter, or it might be 5 feet in the high jump. We want to help athletes push themselves to do the best that they can in an event and beat their personal record. I love the saying, teamwork makes the dream work. I know it's a bit corny, but it's also very true. Track by nature is a very individual in competition, but the teamwork component is very important as well. Teamwork is also very critical to the positive and supportive environment we have at Holy Family. Teamwork might be helping another athlete during a practice who isn't feeling well, to cheering for someone in the final stretch of an 800-meter race. Let's talk about practices. When and where. Practices are going to be on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 6:30 to 7:30 until spring break. After spring break, practices will go until about 7:45. Speaking of spring break, practices that week are completely optional since many families travel during that time. On Saturdays, we're going to have an optional practice from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. These practices will go until we have our first meet of the season, which is usually about the last week in March or the first week in April. We typically get the meet schedule about mid-March. Practice locations will be at St. Pat's and Holy Family for the first few practices. Then once the weather clears a bit, we'll either be at Talmadge Middle School or Kimpton Middle School track. And on Saturdays, we'll meet at Silver Springs Park. For an up-to-date schedule at all the locations and times, you can always find it here at the website. So what to bring and where to practice? It's no secret that Ohio's weather can be pretty unpredictable, to say the least. Two things you can guarantee is that we're definitely going to have some bad weather at times, and the beginning of the season will be nothing like the end of the season. First, you're going to want to wear layers. It's much easier to regulate your athlete's heat with layers. Layers can be added and removed based on the workout and the weather we're having that practice. Tech-type clothing is the best, but it's not mandatory. You just want to try and stay away from cotton when possible. Cotton is really good at soaking up water and sweat and then getting really heavy. And those big bulky jackets aren't the best for running in either. And no matter what your kids say, hats and gloves are pretty cool, especially in those first few weeks of the season. They're cool no matter what they say. And water is really important too, not just in the beginning of the season when it's a little bit cold out, but also at the end of the season when it's much hotter. Just make sure you want to label everything that comes to practice. At the end of the season, we always have a big box full of water bottles and sweatshirts with no names on it. Equipment. The only real piece of equipment you're going to need are shoes. Shoes are really important. I do recommend a good running store to actually work with your child to get them into the right pair of shoes. We're lucky to have a few good running stores in the area. Vertical Runner in Hudson, and Richie's Sporting Goods in Talmadge. I'll be emailing out more details about any deals or specials those stores are going to be having. However, just tell them you're with Holy Family and they'll get you squared away and even give you a good discount. The most asked question I get is, do I need spikes? Well, the answer is yes and no. We typically tell parents that younger athletes in 3rd and 4th grades may not need them as much. But starting in 5th grade, I do think spikes can be really helpful. However, spikes are not mandatory for any grade. They are completely optional. Now, just the last couple of things before the season starts. First, if you haven't done so, turn in your CYO forms, physicals, and the fees to the Holy Family Parish Rectory office. Second, complete the online athlete form. This allows us to get a bit more information about your athlete, such as shirt size and what events they may be interested in this season. Third, be sure to sign up for text messages. Email is great, but sometimes it isn't the best way to get a last-minute message out that practice is canceled or moved. To sign up to receive text messages, just send a message to 81010 with @ HFTF in the message. You can sign up as many phones as you like to receive these messages. And as always, all the current information and links mentioned in this video can be found on the website here. Lastly, thank you for having your child participate in Holy Family Track and Field. There's a lot of great sports and activities out there to choose from, and you picked Holy Family Track. We know sports take up a lot of time with things like driving to practice or watching meets. Supporting our athlete and team is a big deal to us, and we really appreciate that. Thank you again. That's it for this video. We'll be back soon with part 2. Until then, see you at practice.